Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I was keen to speak in this debate and share with honourable members my own lived experiences of our current welfare system and explain why I am supporting a number of the amendments. My dad worked hard from the day he left school at 15 right the way through to age 55. He was an engineer. He paid his taxes. He contributed to society. He never sought help from anyone throughout his life, and he was proud of the work ethic that he stood for. But on the 13th of August 2013, out of nowhere, he had a life-altering stroke. Overnight, he lost the complete use of his left leg and his left arm. His hand was almost always in a tight fist, and speech and memory became difficult. Despite having worked for the same engineering company for more than 20 years, his employment contract offered little financial support. Within just a few weeks, he was struggling to make ends meet on statutory sick pay. And as a family, we had never heard of personal independence payments. We had never heard of universal credit. My dad did not want to apply, but financial realities meant we had no choice. We found a welfare system that was difficult to access. It was confusing. It was slow, incredibly slow. And at all times, we found it frustrating and frankly dehumanising. We spent months and months going through the PIP application process, all whilst no financial support was forthcoming, and things were tough, very tough. My parents were supported by the local food bank. They borrowed money. They got into debt. Having lived a difficult 10 years following his stroke, fighting against a system that he had paid into for so long, my dad died. In January 2023, he struggled to get a GP appointment. He developed pneumonia and he was placed in a medically induced coma. Each time he had a further stroke, which he never recovered from. My dad, like so many others, was let down by the welfare systems supposed to care for him and let down by the NHS at the end of his life. Given my background, you can perhaps understand why I have found confronting some of the initial proposals in this bill so difficult. I have seen firsthand how debates here and rhetoric from honourable members impacts on my own family, as well as impacting on our constituents, particularly with regard to their mental health. And it is important that we recognise that so often disabled people feel like they are a burden. They feel that others think their disability has been somehow manufactured, that they are benefit cheats. Disabled people are not a burden. It is our privilege to support them. And it has been said of late that the Labour Party is the party of work. Indeed it is. But through that work, through that labour, we have a responsibility, a duty to help others. Yes. And it is important that these values are reflected in any proposals. That is why I have supported the amendments tabled by honourable friends, the member for Penistone and Stocksbridge, the member for Walthamstow and the member for Nottingham East, seeking to ensure that those values are enshrined. Because I agree that we absolutely should be doing more to support disabled people into work. There are obvious barriers that exist, particularly in more rural areas like mine, where transport options are limited and suitable work opportunities more difficult to find. Of course, we should be doing that, but not at the expense of changing the rules and making eligibility more difficult. Our public services are broken. Many honourable friends articulate well how bad things are. 14 years of Conservative failure. It should be no surprise that welfare claims are rising. It is the statistical inevitability of the state of our country. For all the hours and hours that I spent advocating on behalf of my dad, at DWP appointments, at medical assessments, at work capability assessments, all that time I would sit there and think, what about the people who do not have someone fighting on their behalf? What hope do they have? Navigating the system was bad enough for our family. What must it be like for others? Now here in this role, we all have a responsibility to be those advocates for the people who do not have a voice. If we want to reduce the welfare bill, and I'm sure we would all want to do this, we do so by fixing our broken systems. Millions of people are on NHS waiting lists. Many people are wanting to work but are not receiving the treatment they need to enable them to do so. This government is making tremendous progress on improving our NHS and healthcare systems. We need to give this time to bring about the change that we seek. The welfare system is slow, it is expensive, it is inefficient, it is riddled with private profit taking advantage. Reform that, tackle that, reduce those costs. Disabled people in this country have suffered disproportionately for years. Austerity and the last Conservative government ruined lives, and people longed for a change narrative under Labour, and they voted for that change last July. If we are to move forward as a country, we move forward together, and that includes disabled people.